Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the OneTalk Podcast here with your host, Ryan McCarthy. And in today's episode, we are joined with Luke Camilleri from Aspley Mazda. Luke is an absolute legend to see what he's built at Aspley Mazda and what he's transformed it into, especially the way it's evolved over all these years, running a successful business and creating such a good culture and, really looking after people and doing things for the community. So today's episode was epic, and the things that we talked about were business, how to stay strong in business and to continually evolve and not get complacent, especially after 30 years, because Luke's been in the business for 30 years. We also talked about creating a good culture within the team environment as well, the mindset that's needed to overcome challenges, because Luke touched on his whole shop got flooded back in the Brisbane floods, and then also surviving through COVID as well, and how his team overcame those obstacles to really thrive and to use those lessons to overcome anything that they may face in the future. It's a really inspirational episode, and this episode will hit anyone from all areas of life. And it's just a really cool conversation, but also a lot of tips, tools, and tactics that you can take away if you are a business owner or you do run a team. In other news, if you could please leave this podcast a rating, it means so much in terms of helping this podcast grow, but also reaching a larger audience. So if you're on Spotify, Apple, if you could leave a rating, if you're on YouTube, if you could subscribe, it would mean the world. But without further ado, let's welcome Luke Camilleri.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. The marathon continue. Victory lap tonight, though. Victory lap tonight.
Welcome to the OneTalk Podcast with Ryan McCarthy.
The marathon continues. That's what you would say.
Welcome to the OneTalk Podcast. Luke, how you doing, man?
I'm really good, mate. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries at all. Thanks for coming on, man. Just want to say, first thing coming in the year, I know you must have heard it a lot, but I also want to share it as well. Even me and Wheelik's videographer, as soon as we walked in, get settled, the culture here just feels amazing. As soon as we walk in, the people that agree, the energy that people have, and just the way you see everyone's aura is within this place. It's just it's uplifting as soon as you walk in there. And the first thing that bounced off my mind, you've been doing this since, I believe you got in automotive in 94. You got into the sales part late 90s. For so long, how do you create culture and sustain it for so long?
I don't know, really. It's just inbred, I think. But to me, it was when I came on as a young fella. It was around, I've got a pretty short attention span, so I like to be having a good time, Even when I was at school, I was a bit the same. You wanted to be doing the fun stuff, doing the exciting stuff. So, to me, when it comes to a workplace, it was you want to be having a good time and you want some good energy. So you want to be surrounded by good people. So going back a fair while ago, I thought, when I really realised that this is the career that I wanted to do, it was how do I, if I ever had the opportunity, how would I create the perfect culture and the perfect kind of dealership where you'd want to work, where you're surrounded by like-minded people in a successful, driven, motivated place. And that was to remove all the barriers. So take out all the roadblocks that make it from being hard work and not liking your job. So that's what I've done, It's been a gradual thing over a long period of time, but it's second nature to me now. And that's what you always want to create, the energy, the vibe. And what I always say to the staff is that if you're not waking up every day and you're putting on your jersey and loving wearing that with pride and honour and looking forward to driving to work and you're upbeat and you're tapping away at the steering wheel and you're singing a song and you're ready to go, you're in the wrong place. You know what I mean? So if you're not feeling that vibe every day, you're in the wrong place. And you can have your ups and downs, but if you've got some downs, and this should be a happy place where you can come and go, you know what, there's going to be good energy there. Yeah, there's going to be some drama now and then. There's going to be some challenges along the way, but I know I've got full support and it's like a family there. And that's what I've created, So, and it's always been the mentality, if you don't want to wear the jersey, there's no hard feelings, don't wear it. You've got to. And it was just recent, actually. I saw something, it might have been on Instagram, I saw, and Dana White, someone had said something Dana White had said, and it was the same thing, and I was listening to it, and hair stood up on the back of my neck. It was he said the same thing. He goes, people are waking up in the morning, getting out of bed, having a shower, getting ready, and they're not looking forward to going to do their job. They're doing the wrong job.
100%.
And that resonated with me. I'm thinking, you know what? It's just bang on. It's been the same I've felt for a long, long time. So I guess, the culture's instilled here. It's been here a long time. The staff that I've been surrounded with have been here a long time as well. So they've kind of grown the same way. They have the same energy and the same want, and people legit actually want to just be here every day. So it's an energy, you know, and when you don't fit, you stand out. So we want to create that vibe that when you do come in here, it's not just automotive, it's not a car yard, it's something's different, it's something's going to be inspiring and motivating, and it's going to be something where you feel like, hey, this is some good energy here, I want to be amongst this, you know. So
I like your analogy as well, like coming for a team, coming for a jersey. At the end of the day, like, you're coming in for a team, you know, you want that team spirit, team environment. Because at the end of the day, like, you want to come into a workplace and know that people have your back as well.
Correct.
Like when you are having a tough time, because at the end of the day, everyone's a human. We're all people. We all have our own trials and tribulations. But if someone can come to work and know people have got their back there, and think about like how big of a chunk work is in our day-to-day life, right? So we're awake for, let's say, 16 hours a day, 8 hours of that is at work. And if half of our waking time is at the workplace, that's uplifting, positive, and motivating. Can you imagine how that's going to bleed out into our home life and our personal lives? Like, if someone has a really good day at work, can you imagine the effect that's going to have on their family when they get home, the effect that's going to have on the other relationships, maybe the effect that's going to have on maybe the goals that they have outside of work and they want to pursue and build on.
Correct.
Like, if you start from where you begin, which most people do at work at the start of the day, it can bleed into any other area of your life.
Yep. That's right. So we're always about the personal and professional.
Yeah.
It's not just about that, you know, the professional approach. And when you hear, I want you to do this, we're really, really conscious of how people are personally and professionally, you know, so because it affects it. It really does, you know, and we want people to come here and feel that way. And the other thing we want is we don't want you to have to turn up to work and feel like you've got to be someone different. You're going to come to work and be that identical person the way you were at home, you know, so you've got that laughter, you've got that quick wit, you've got that, you know, that sense of humour, the cheekiness. You want that at work, you know, because we employ on personality. And the best thing people want to do is not mask that personality. They want to let it shine, you know. So we're very supportive of that, and people feel that, you know, a little bit different, but we've got a bit of an always-on mentality when it comes to in employing people and an open roster as well, you know. Like we might be full as far as people go, but we're always looking for opportunity as well. Yeah. And so those people that are potential candidates to come onto work, they're going to be drawn to this culture. Yeah. They're going to be drawn to that, whether it be through social media or a website, you know, from word of mouth. When they come here, they feel it, you know, then they want to be amongst it. So I don't want to close those people off too, because there could be great opportunities. So
it's also a win-win as well, because if people feel uplifted and great about coming to work, like, you're going to get the best out of your staff as well.
Big performance.
Which then is great for the company.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Big performance. People are happy. People are just enjoying what they're doing, and it comes naturally then, doesn't it? So, yeah.
And like, because you've been doing this for at least 30 years.
30 years now, yeah.
So how have you avoided complacency? Because I interviewed the founder of Jim's Group.
Yep.
And he's been doing this since the 70s. And I asked him about that as well. And he said, probably similar to what you may say, he goes, well, as long as you know your values and your mission and your why, it's kind of hard to get complacent.
Yep.
But for yourself, like, how have you avoided complacency? Being so long in business?
Same deal. You just don't. It's something that it drives me, because I don't want to become complacent. Sometimes I'll feel as if I'm not doing enough. You know what I mean? And then I'm looking at it going, no, I'm doing plenty. I'm doing plenty. I'm moving. You know. So, and I think that's just how you're built. You know, and the same thing. And whether that you take it away from work, and it's the way you are outside of work. You know, you're leaving today's jobs for tomorrow. No way in the world. I do today's job today. You know, and you know when you talk about high expectation, that's my life. Everything is of a high expectation. And I think when you've got that, complacency doesn't exist. Yeah. You know, it's a thing that just disappears, because you always want to be better. You're always looking for something. There's always something to do. Yeah.
It's like integrated in you.
It is, you know, and there's always something. You can always have something better, and you're always thinking I always want to be a few steps ahead of the market. And me, I've always got these ideas in my head, you know, so I'm never bored, and I'm never sitting there thinking, okay, well, I don't know what to do next. We've always got plenty on the go. And from a work point of view, it's hard to be complacent when you've got that mindset. Yeah. And that mindset's about always not satisfied, always want more, want to break a record, want to break, you know, just that mold, I guess, of automotive and be different. Yeah. You know, so there's always plenty going on. So I don't think complacency ever is going to be an issue.
Can't creep into the mind. So how does where does your drive and determination come from? Like, when you were a young kid, did you have it from that age, or was it something you had to develop?
Yeah, I did from a young age. Probably not to the degree I do now. I think it's just come with the game. It's come with, I guess, the tests that you've had along the way, the roadblocks, seeing things that you don't like how they're done, but you don't really have any control. And I was always that sort of person that wanted to try and have some control of things that I had no control of, and it used to bother me. And you know, and then people would say, "Don't worry about stuff you have no control of." Easier said than done, by the way. But it made a lot of sense, and I think that was in the competitive nature that I had back then. Going, you know what, I want to make change. I want to be different. Yeah. So that what drove me. Also, to drive was I kind of had to. You know, I have this battle with myself that I've got to be a leader, and I've got to be really, really good at what I do.
Yeah.
And so anything that I do, I don't half do it.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be done really well, really precise, and I'm a big believer in experts do expert things and stay in your lane.
Yeah.
And my lane here is that I know that I've got to be the biggest energy, and I've got to be the biggest motivator and the biggest driver, and I'm going to be very, very competitive because I don't like coming second. To do that, it's just something that just doesn't go away. It's been a big drive. So I think it was always there from childhood, but adopted a little bit more when it came into the workplace around seeing how competitive it is, wanting to, and tasting that win. Yeah. Tasting the success, and then go, oh wow, this is good.
Once you get that taste, it's like,
and I don't want to be close to second. I want to have a gap. I want to have a gap. So if I'm number one, I want there to be a big gap to number two.
Victory lap around.
Yeah, correct. So I think the competitiveness has just probably got more fierce as I've got older.
Yeah. Do you think like another part of it is like training as well? Because I know like you've got a lot of boxers and fathers that are involved with Mazda here.
Yep.
Also, I know yourself, like you love training. I believe you've done a bit of martial arts, boxing as well, and all that type of stuff. Do you think that contributes to drive and determination? Because like I've interviewed heaps of fighters, and all of them say like no matter how good of a performance I can do, there's still something I could have done better. Yeah. And there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, there always is. So again, it goes back to being around like-minded people. Like attracts like. You surround yourself with the right people. I surround myself with people that challenge me. I surround myself with like-minded people that are athletes, professionals. In business, they're very successful. So always you're being tested yourself. You know what I mean? So I always had that bit of mentality too. And I used this analogy with someone the other day. You might be okay at golf, or you might be a bit of a hacker at golf. Yeah. But if you went and played a game with 3 other guys, and those 3 are all playing off a very small handicap, they're very, very good at what they do, your game's going to improve.
100%.
If you're the best of a bad bunch, your game's going to be pretty ordinary. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden that expectation drops. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've always thought is that, you can't let that expectation drop. You've got to have that approach of, I want to be around good people to make myself better. Yeah. So it's just this thing that becomes second nature, But, a lot of it has to do with my training because it's routine. You feel like you're letting yourself down if you're not, so that's a big part of it. But I think it's around those people and you're driven by that, and you're driven by the making small changes, by being better, by trying more. And I think, I look at it now, if I don't get up and train in the morning, I'm probably pretty slow in the morning.
Yeah, I even saw this morning you're training, ice bathing.
All up. So it's normal routine, 3:30, get up at the gym by 4:30, train through a little bit after 6, and then I'm sitting in the sauna for half an hour, then in the ice bath, and, have brekkie with the family, and then you're at work. But, I've done a lot in that morning, but I am ready to go. And there's a lot of stuff that happens between 3:30 and 8 o'clock when I'm at work, you know what I mean? There's a lot of emails, there's a lot of messages, a lot of planning for the day, there's a lot of setting, but you feel like you've accomplished a lot because you have. But it's the best way to start the day. And then you'll see some other people that are just getting out of bed and they're starting their day and they're yawning and they're just not quite there. They're not alert. You look at that and you're like, oh, God, I don't want to be like that.
100%.
You know what I mean? I need to be that have that energy. And there's days there where your body physically doesn't want you to get out of bed. Yeah. You're tired, you've had no sleep and all the rest of it, you've had a rough night. And you might have those rest days occasionally, but I feel it. Yeah. I feel it straight away when I get up. I'm a little bit slower, And I think, it is. I think it's a good thing. I think you're training your mind. You feel better for it, and you feel accomplished. And again, this morning, I got up and trained this morning and had not the best sleep. It just felt rough. Felt pretty sore this morning, but I knew I'd feel better for it after training. And the guy I trained with this morning, he said the same thing to me. He was feeling a bit ordinary, and we kind of pumped each other up a little bit. We had a really good session, and I got home. I sat in the sauna for half an hour, and I started really to feel alert. And I sat in the ice bath, and I was going to do 3 minutes. I pushed that out to 4, and I sat in there for 4 minutes, and I got out of that. And then I've just felt like I've been on all day. Yeah. There was a bit going on this morning, a bit of logistics and organisation that I had to organise, and there's some, not negative stuff, but there's some pressing issues that I've got at the moment with work and player management and people management, but there's an easy way to look at it. It could be negative and draining, or it's, no, there's opportunity here. We can create this an opportunity. And that's where I'm at. And I think that if I didn't have that right start to the day, I probably wouldn't be as energetic and that forward thinking and that real positive mindset towards it. So, it's something that's just inbuilt, and I hope it never goes away as I get older. But, I'm enjoying it. I love it. I can't get enough.
I feel like as long as you stick in the routine, you'll always keep that level,
Correct.
like a really good baseline. Yep. That's what I found with myself. Like even at the moment, I had a kid 4 weeks ago yesterday, first child.
Yeah, right.
And
Congrats.
thanks, man. So, minimal sleep, not much
Yeah.
sleep at the moment, but still, going to the gym on the days where I have to go to
Yeah.
the gym, still going to soccer,
Yeah.
showing up for that as well. Like, even if that night I've had like 3 hours sleep, like still going and getting
Yep.
it done anyway,
Yep.
because I know I'll be better for it.
Yep.
Because I know I'll show up better, even with just like feeding my kids. I know I'll show up better doing that compared to the person that's half tired, half asleep with lack of energy.
Absolutely.
Because like I feel like even if you are a bit tired, but you've trained and done all the right things, like you still feel a bit positive.
Yep,
in a
correct.
sense as well, because you know you've accomplished
And
something. in the
productive.
day.
It's all about productivity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Productivity and efficiency. That's what it's about. And I'll look at it, you break it down to a work analogy. We run our service department on hours. We look at productivity. We look at efficiency. And then you look at available hours, or uncharged hours. And I'll look at that all the time. And it's the same with us, You've got productivity and efficiency, and it will change your day. It will change your day, So, I don't know. I just think even if you're doing something, a little bit of movement, a little bit, you're going to be better. You're going to be more alert. You're going to be more on, And it comes down, I say it to the sales team a lot. When we have our morning meetings, we've got a bit of a don't tap mentality. Yeah. Don't tap. When it's tough, you're in the battle, don't tap, and you've got to test yourself. You've got to really go through those hard times. There's an easy option. That easy option is, let's have a couple more hours sleep. Yeah. No, I'm not going to train today. Oh, no, I might just take a bit of a break today and I'm just going to have a rest week.
Yeah.
That's an easy option. That's tapping, isn't it? Or there's the other one where it's like, no, you know what? I'm not feeling the best, but I'm going to feel better for it. And I know I'm going to feel better for it because I've done it in the past. I'm going to take it on. Yeah. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to set that example because I know that I'm influencing people. Yeah. I'm motivating people, and I'll have a standard because people are going to look up to me and go, well, hang on, if he's not training and if he's not doing that, that means that I can drop and I'm not going to train. I'm not going to do that. And then I'll break that down to a work point of view. And if I'm not as sharp at what I normally am at work, they're going to look at that and go, oh, hang on, he seems to be a bit off. He seems to be a bit cash. And it drops the standard. I think people mirror those people around them.
100%. So some of the 5 people we hang around.
Yeah, correct. So I can't afford to be, and I have that little mental battle with myself every day. I'm thinking, well, hang on, I've got people that, that I'm driving here. Yeah. I can't take the easy option. I've got to take the tough one. And the tough one is actually the better one. Yeah. It's not tougher, but it actually feels like it, but it's not. It's the better one.
Short term it feels tougher, but long term it's great.
Yeah, better reward.
Yeah, but it's got me thinking too, like, because yourself, man, like you've been a leader for so long and probably your whole life without even knowing it. Especially like becoming the father, you're a leader there. You're probably a leader within the family. You're a leader of Mazda here as well, and probably so many different aspects of your life. But in terms of being a leader, what's some of the values you contribute to great leadership?
Probably the biggest value is that is transparency. I believe is a huge one. I'm a big believer in you want to talk out loud around what you're trying to do and where you're at, and be a bit of an open book when it comes to it. And I think that's a leadership quality. About, I guess, consistency is one of the biggest contributing factors, being consistent, and showing that. But the biggest thing for a leader for me, I think, is, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but you never show weakness. Yeah. Never show weakness. There can be plenty of weakness going on, but I'm going to keep that inside. Yeah. I'm never going to show it. I'm never going to show that any form of life, personally and professionally, apart from the ones that are the closest that I love to death, you know what I mean? 100%. But I'm never going to show that weakness. And because I'm not going to show my cards to anyone. Yeah. You know what I mean? And and that's what a true leader will actually do. They'll take one for the team, and they'll be very, very, very selfless. Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is I always put other people first. And sometimes that's not the best thing, but because I want to see people grow. Yeah. And that's what gets me excited is when people grow personally and professionally, when people are achieving things, when people are kicking goals, when people are succeeding and doing well. I get pretty excited from that, and I get charged from that, So I think as a leader, you want to motivate that, and I think so from me, you don't know. You're always on show, aren't you? You don't know when people are looking at you for motivational support. You don't know. You're always on. You don't know. You could be absolutely anywhere, and you don't know the person that might be out for dinner. Yeah. There's a person sitting across the table from you. You don't know. They might know who you are, but they're going to look at you. Oh, that's that guy from there, or whatever it might be. You're always on display. You're always on show, and I think that's always. You never show that weakness, and you've always got to be that person you are. So there's a time and a place for that weakness, but the rest of the time, you've got to, as a leader, it's an instinct. It's a thing that just happens. There is no off button.
I reckon that's a great topic. I think that's a great trait as well, because I'm similar with myself. Like when it comes to sacrificing myself short term to make sure the people around me are looked after, 100% do all the time. Yep. Especially as having kids, you'll do anything for your kids. Absolutely. You do anything for your family. Yep. But even like for your team and people that work closely with you, that they'll give their shit off their back for you, and you'll do the same for them. Yep. not showing weakness to those people, because you want to be that source of strength, because when someone does have a bad day and come in there, they want to know that they have a source of strength to come to where they can feel empowered.
Correct. I think that's the big thing too, and I've always shown it, and the people have respected that.
Yeah.
You know, that I've always been that support for them. You know, always shown that there is no, that they know that they can come to me because they're going to get that support they need, that drive they need, that little kick, you know, that they need just to get them back on track, that realignment, you know, and it's a selfless thing, because sometimes I could be in a worse position, you know what I mean, but you can't show it. So I'm like, no. But again, that helps you. It helps you because it takes you back. You remember where you came from. You remember your values. You remember your core values, and they are, hang on, there's a reason why you're in the position you are today. Yeah. Stay true to it, you know. So, yeah, we all need that bit of alignment sometimes, but yeah.
And I feel like even if you are going for like a trial or tribulation yourself and you're still helping someone else, I feel like that helps you with your own stuff that you're going through as well. Because I always found that every challenge that I've been through, if I'm doing something that's serving someone else, like it takes away, I guess, any negativity around the things that I'm going through. And gets me like less emotional and more logical around my own challenges. Because I feel like if I stop serving others, I become too self-focused on myself.
Absolutely.
And it can become like a bit of a spiral. But if I'm like looking after people and trying to help people problem solve, it helps me think back on myself and how I can problem solve my own challenges.
Couldn't agree more on that.
The same.
Best lesson ever. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
And there's a topic I want to talk to you about as well, man. Like, I believe you had 3 kids by 21. And then you got into this line of work as well at a young age. What was that like in the early days? Because I know so many people here listening, maybe in a similar boat you were in back then, maybe getting into a workplace, having kids, and trying to juggle everything all at once and trying to provide for their family. So
it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
I can imagine.
And I look back at it now, you know, I wasn't, and it's a great story, you know, I look back at it, and I was young. I had my first daughter when I was 18. I'd just turned 18. So I was working. I had to work. You know, I still remember that I was just I was making $192.10 a week. You know what I mean? It's what I was getting paid back then. And but the biggest thing for me, I was super excited to be a dad, and just the love you have for your firstborn, or for all your kids, but the firstborn, that memory. And back then it was like she was everything, you know, and how do you provide? And that was the one thing that she came first. And I look back on it now, proud as punch. It was tough, you know. I worked a lot of hours. And as I got a little bit older, you know, I went back to back with kids, and you know, it kind of drove me that little bit more. And I was loving being a dad, you know, loving being a dad and a young dad. But I didn't think at the time like that. I wasn't thinking like that because I was in the infancy of my career as well, and I was loving that, you know. And the balance was kind of tough, and the hours were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you know. And I had plenty of support around me too, but which was great. But the biggest driver for me back then was, hang on, I want to create a legacy where I want my kids to be really proud of who I am and what I'm doing. And I think that was what a big driver was at the time. So you had to try and find that right balance. And it was busy. It was busy, you know. And I didn't have the luxuries back then of start times and finish times and flexibility. And the way I was brought up is you weren't sick. You never got sick. You don't get sick, you know what I mean?
You'll be in the hospital.
you got a couple of legs missing, but you're still at work, you know. And then that's the way it was. And I didn't have sick days, you know, and my work ethic was through the roof. And you know, my dad's work ethic was always through the roof, and that's what I was brought up watching. So, like, I knew that I had to have that great work ethic, but when I came home, I still had to pull my weight. You know, I still want to cook, I still want to clean, I still want to mow my yard and have the yard because I'm house proud, you know. You know, you want everything to look right. And, that was just, I guess, it just kind of happened, you know, like, and I always found a way. You know, and I still managed to, you know, have time for sport and have time for friends and network and, you know, and 3 kids by a young age was a big driver for me, you know. And I often think about it, thinking if I didn't have the kids, do you reckon I would have been as successful and driven as I was now? And I don't know if I would. I don't know, because they was a little push right at the time going, well, I need to live week to week. I lived week to week for like 4 or 5 years, you know. I had to make sure that, you know, I could afford everything, and everything was second hand, you know, like cots, change tables, prams, you know. It wasn't until the later onset, you know, that, you know, when my career had really taken off and I'd nestled in, and, you know, I look at it now and I look at my youngest boy, he's 4.5. Jesus, the life he's lived compared to my firstborn, Kira, like, you know, he's got everything at his fingertips, you know, and especially me too, you know, because I'm in that stage of my career now where I can be flexible. You know, I don't need to be at work at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m, you know. So yeah, it was a big driver for me, but you found a way. You just found a way, because those things were important. Friendships are important, you know, and then I went and started playing, you you know, always kept playing footy. And during that period, you know, that was a big network as well, you know, as, you know, footy was, you know, so I was you know, three kids at the time, playing footy, the dealership. It was busy, you know, and then I had a fourth one after that, and, you know, and it wasn't until my twins were born I decided it was time to hang up the boots. I was 33 at the time, 33, 34 at the time. And, you know, I thought, you know, I've got 6 kids now, you know what I mean? And I'm working a lot of hours. You know, something has to sacrifice, you know what I mean? But you still manage to make things fit, and that's where you found you're around the like-minded people. You gravitate to those sort of people, you know. So, I think all the kids were a big driver. Young dad, but also I was very, very proud. Like, I was a proud dad, and I still am today. And that big thing that I've always said is I want my kids to be proud of me. So when that day comes, when I'm not around anymore, I want them to look back and go, you know what, there were some massive memories that were created. You know, and Dad did a lot of things, and he sacrificed a lot of things, and he worked relentlessly hard, you know, and provided for us and made sure that we didn't go without anything, you know, and that's probably the one gift that I could ask for, is just that the legacy I leave behind, my kids are super proud of it and proud of what I've done, and you know, and that's been a big driver for me from the start, so it still is today. You know, they come before anything else, and always will, you know. And I think that's with anyone that has kids, they know that. They're a driver. You know, you work that bit harder, you dig that little bit deeper, you know, for them. Because that's what it's there for, you know. So
100%. Because even for me, like when my wife got pregnant, I had this like instinct come within me that I need to become better. And like it wasn't, you know, at a point where I was like, I'm not good enough. Like it wasn't anything like that. I just knew I had another level to go to. Whether that was health, whether that was business, whether that was work, whether that's being a husband, becoming a father. I just had this instinct like you've got another level to go to. And instead of looking at that being like, oh well, like I'm not good enough and finding negatives, I was like, all right, let's go hard into the gym. Let's set bigger goals, and let's find ways to get to those goals. Because when my son comes, like I want to be in a certain like physical shape. And also as he grows, I want him to see the work that I put in and be a good example for my kids.
Role model, because they're sweet little innocent kids. They don't know else, do they? But they look up at you, and you are like the king. They have nothing but admiration. You know, they want to copy what you're wearing. They want to copy the way you sit. You know, like they look at those role models in their life. You play such a pivotal part of them in that early onset. You know, and I think there's that side of it there where you're a role model, and but there's the other side where it drives you because you don't want them to go without anything. You know what I mean? And I think that's that selfless act that comes as being like who we are and as parents. But the other part is you're proud, you know, you want to protect your kids from everything. You want them to have everything, you know, and I want to create memories for them that they go back in, you know, years down the track and they're like, oh, I remember we used to do this. Remember, like we spoke about before, you know, you remember when you were young going to Tangalooma, what the memories were, you know. The same with my kids. I want them to talk about that, and when they've got their kids, I want them to do the same sort of things, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's the biggest driver for us.
Creating that legacy, because then, like, even when your kids become grandparents, they can tell their grandkids about what you were like and the stories they used to do, and keep the legacy alive like that.
Yeah, and that's what I'd love to see, and that's what right now is. That's what I love to see. As you know, looking down, I'd love to see them all doing the same thing and talking about that and talking about with the love and passion that I did, and you know, and creating memories for their kids that they're proud of, and they look at it and it keeps going and going. You know, so.
And how cool is it, like the ability that we can do things like podcasts? Because I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, by the time my son now, hopefully soon to be more children in the future, by the time they're like 18, I've probably done like 2,000 episodes of the podcast. So that's like thousands of hours of recordings they can listen to of me, and like my generations to come after that can hear. Even with yourself, like jumping on podcasts and doing your own podcast, like all the generations after you can see like everything that you talked about and where you're at and your mindset, which is really cool because like we think about our great grandparents, we don't know too much about them, but now we live in the time where we can really share what we're going through. And what you say now could inspire your great grandchild just by listening to this podcast, which is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty important, isn't it? Special. It's very, very special. Yeah, you're bang on there. That's a pretty important time.
Yeah, but like listen to your story there too. It's inspiring too because for me, like I do this podcast, but I'm also like a youth worker as well. So like doing those both, being a father, going to the gym and playing soccer, trying to do it all. Well, I wouldn't say trying, I am doing it all, but it all feels right because it feels like I'm doing it because I know I'll still strive for the best for my son. But in saying that as well, like for yourself, being the father, what do you think is the best thing about being a dad? Like, what do you think is the best accomplishment?
I guess just there's so many things. There's so many things. It's just I guess you being you giving them that safety blanket, that them feeling safe, them feeling reassured, and that comfort, that unconditional love that you give. But I guess the best thing is just watching them grow and develop. Watching them, go through their stages of change and listening to them repeat things or listen to things that you've taught them, and watching them become a little mini version of what you are. And I think that's it. I look back now and, like with all my kids now, like I'm so proud. They're all very different. But it's the best gift of all, is them. So I don't know. It's a hard question, actually. It's a really hard question, but I love every bit of it. Yeah. There's challenges, obviously, and that they're not always they're going to agree with what you say or what you do. But I want to always be true to who I am and true to, I guess, getting the right direction and the right road. And I'm not going to give airtime to stuff that I don't agree with, And but sometimes it's smarter not to enter the battle at the same time. You know what I mean? Because you just don't need to. And I think you got to lead from example, and that's the best way. And if you do that in a real consistent manner, you're going to provide. But I think that's very important that we keep creating memories and they'll look back on those things. And to me, again, you don't want to show weakness in front of your kids. You always want to show strength. You want to show that there's a really good future. You want to show that there's more goals that want to be set, more goals that want to be ticked off, that you're not content with where you're currently at, that there's always better, and you've always got to be proud of what you do, and never half do things, It's always wanting to do those things thoroughly. So, and I think that's probably the best thing, as a dad, is to be a role model, set those examples,
That's a great example of like your values that you talked about on leadership, like authenticity, but then also being a strong backbone to the people around you.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to be a leader. I don't want my kids to have to worry about anything. Yeah. I want to be the problem solver. I want to be the, I'll fix it. It's probably more worst thing too, at the same time, because then they don't, you look at them and they don't know how to do much, or they don't know how to, handle situations because you've done too much. So you've got to find that right balance, to make sure. But I don't know. There's, I look at all my kids and I have some really, a great relationship, and there's some situations or, conversations that you have where I'll walk away and it might even be a text message and I've got a smile from ear to ear, where, it's pretty special, it's pretty special, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So,
And you want people to rely on you as well. Like even a couple of weeks ago, like this stupid, but like the drain got blocked in the sink in the bathroom. I've never done plumbing in my life. I've never done it before. My wife's like, let's call a plumber. I was like, no, I'll do it.
It's the find a way mentality.
So I pretended I knew how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Closed the door, just got on YouTube and just figured it out myself. Came back out, like my chest held high. Like, I did that.
Proud moment. There you go.
Yeah, but I feel like with things like that, like if you try and outsource, and I know it's like a weird analogy, but in terms of like with your own goals or your business or personal life, I feel like if you do sometimes try and find a way to figure it out yourself, because no one understands yourself more than you.
Correct.
Like when you get into the depths or when you get into really deep parts of challenges in life, that's when you meet the most of yourself. That's when you really face yourself and see what you're capable of. And I find that's where you find resilience, willpower, determination, a lot of strength as well. I find if you get to like a dark place in life or a deep place or like a really big challenge, and you try and do something to avoid it or go to someone else to, I guess, distract you, it builds up over time. It gets even worse. And I can imagine it'd be the same of like, if you have a challenge with business, let's just say COVID or when the floods happened a couple of years ago, I know you would have faced a lot of challenges then. But instead of like shutting the shop or letting people go or doing all the easy things, instead, I know you would have been like, all right, let's find out a solution and let's see what we're really capable of here. 100%.
Opportunity, And that was the thing. I remember that. When we flooded was probably the biggest memory. We were at their house at Tangalooma at the time, and I think it was a Friday afternoon. We said we were going to go to Tangalooma for the weekend, and my general manager said to me, he goes, mate, all this rain that's coming, do you think it'll be right? And I said, mate, it's fine, don't worry about it. Tangalooma is beautiful, like even when it's raining, it's beautiful. And so we went over to Tangalooma, and it rained relentlessly. And then it was on the Sunday, and I said to this is when it hadn't stopped, and I'd rung one of my service guys that live next door in the unit beside the dealership. I said to him, mate, can you just check, because I'd been here through a flood before, can you just see that water if it's rising up in the bottom car park? He goes, I'll ring you back. And it was the most it was that I couldn't do anything. I just felt completely out of my depth. I couldn't do anything. I was stuck. he sent me a video of water rising that quickly. And I'd send a group message out saying, hey, guys, can you quickly get down to the dealership and try and move some of these cars? This water's rising quick. And lo and behold, I've got 7 or 8 people here in an instant. But I'm watching this on FaceTime where they're covered, they're up to their waist in water.
Oh, wow.
I'm watching cars just drifting away down towards the drain. And I'm stuck at Tangalooma, not being able to do anything.
I can imagine.
It was a horrible feeling. It was an empty feeling, I'm thinking, what can I do? What can I do? But the one thing that I was super proud of with the guys is that it was a situation that it was. They dealt with it, They didn't have their leader there, so they stood up. And stood up well. We couldn't get back on the boat because obviously because of the flooding, the port of Brisbane was full of lounges, fridges and everything else associated, so there was no way for us to get back home. We tried to get the earliest we could to get back, and by this stage, the water had started to go back down, and I turned up here on the Monday afternoon, and it was hard to look at, but I was so proud at the same time because they had taken it. I didn't see it at its worst, only through FaceTime. But we were back and operating the following day. We were one day out of business.
Yeah, well.
So our whole service reception was completely underwater. Our pre-delivery workshop was completely underwater. Our sales showroom, there was water to our top step. So we had one dry place. All the service reception team had moved to our cafe area, and you would have had 15 people, sharing 3 phones.
Well, so most of all this was all under.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we found a way. We found a way. We were back. We operated, and we continued. And from what that did to us, it showed that true passion and determination, that resilience that, in any area that we can find a way to come out with a better result. And then we look for opportunity. There was cars that were, we weren't the only people who were affected. So when there's floods, there's cars that are written off. Then there's people looking for new cars. So you need to make sure you got stock. A lot of people lost used cars, so there's opportunity to go out and buy no more used cars. So all of a sudden we turned something that was pretty ordinary into something that was really good. And here's a bit of a refresh. At the same time, then it forced me into do a bit of a renovation in a dealership. And it was the same thing through COVID, like I watched with COVID when people went into crisis, and, there was a lot of public companies that were around us in automotive. And they were letting their staff go. They were going down to work part-time. They were working from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. They were selling all their used cars to put some capital back in the bank account. And I was the opposite. I was having hourly meetings, having our COVID updates, saying, there is no way in the world that one person here will be getting sacked. We're going to make sure, we're going to find a way to keep everyone employed, and we're going to get through this together. And it turned into be one of our best periods of a 12-month period that we've ever had. We changed that process so the people that couldn't really do anything, people still had to get their car serviced. So I used salespeople to go and do drop-off and pick up contactless. We found different ways to target our audience and talk to them and keep communicating with them. We're very, very transparent in our operation. We found that all these people were starting to buy cars through us because we actually had stock where others didn't. We were open where other people weren't. We were communicating and we were giving messages in a period where people needed support. People watching TV find out for COVID updates what was going on. Do I wear a mask? Do I not wear a mask? Can I go out? What can I do? But we were active. Our database at the time were getting communicated with. Our social media was very, very active. And we were creating some waves during that period. And that was a real growth period through there where we dug that bit deeper again. So with any sort of drama or problem, you're always going to find a way to come out of it, but there's always opportunity to even get better and capitalise from it. And I look at that in any environment. And I know you probably shouldn't look at it, but there's a lot of people that when the market goes quiet or there's drama in the market, they run for cover. When they run for cover, I get excited because I see, hang on, there's even more opportunity. There is even more opportunity. So that's where we take it on. So when the weak kind of go hide and they start to tap and they're looking for reasons not to do it, I'm looking for reasons to try and find an opportunity to get better. So and I think that's been the mentality through here for a long time. So
I think surviving floods and COVID, any other challenge that arises now, like you've got things to reflect on. Like even if, God forbid, another flood happens, but if it does, you've done it before. Like if anything happens in the future, you've got that backbone of like, look at what we've overcome. Like look at what we did as a team. Nothing can stop us.
It is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? You got to deal with it. You can look at the negative approach. Oh, we've lost all these cars. We've got to go through this rebuild phase. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. Or you look at it the other way, going, you know what? It's not ideal. But what's the opportunity that could come with it? There's going to be some exciting things. We've always talked about this as being a bit of an ordinary bit of the building. Maybe it's an opportunity where we could do a bit of a modification and change to it so it can be more efficient for us. You know what I mean? we've worked out that, hang on, we've done the same sort of thing with only 4 staff as what we usually have 7 staff. So our efficiencies probably weren't there, and it's a bit of a wake-up call for us to look from an ownership point of view and management going, hang on, we weren't getting the productivity we probably should have been getting. Yeah. So it all happens for a reason, doesn't it? And it's what you take out of it and then what you turn it into on the other side. So
And it just comes back to leadership, doesn't it? Because I'm not sure if you're much of a fan of soccer at all.
I don't know a lot about it, mate, to be fair.
I'll give an analogy. I'm not sure. It might make sense here. But, like, I'm from Liverpool in England, and our captain back in the day was a guy called Steven Gerrard. And Steven Gerrard is probably one of the best players in the world, and considering our team at the time, we're in a very poor state. And the only reason we kept a hold of him was because he was born there, he's from there, and wanted to stick right by the people, even in challenging times, even through tough times. And when we had Steven Gerrard in our team, even though we should have finished way lower on the table, we shouldn't have won any of the trophies that we won, because we had such a strong leader in the team, everyone else performed a lot better. Like, we had players that no one would even want from, like, any team in the world, let alone probably teams, like, down on the ladder way below us. But for some reason, players would come to our team just because of him. He'd uplift them to a new level and make them play so much better. And that just shows, like, the importance of having a good leader in the team.
Absolutely. It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? You know what I mean? You look at that even from a rugby league point of view. A certain player can be in a team, and that's going to attract a lot of other people because they want to be around that person. You know what I mean? And I think that's got to be the same when it comes to a dealership or any employment, any business. You need to have a really positive leader and a really good leader that is a motivator and a driver that's going to attract people. And in that, we've got a leadership group that sits under me, and I want them to be the same. I want them as leaders, and I'm talking about them to it all the time. We're doing this coaching all the time around, hang on, you're leaders. People are looking at you. You're sitting in a sales meeting in the morning, and you're talking for 45 minutes. People are hanging off every word. You're an inspiration to those people. Your body language, your demeanour, your word track, the way you're doing it, how you're positive about it, like the pace in which you're talking, the pace in which you're walking, how quick things are happening. All these things are happening in front of them, and they don't actually know. It's subliminal, isn't it? So I've been really working hard on, you just can't have one. Let's grow. A room's far more powerful with 14 like-minded people as opposed to one. You know what I mean? And then you get a dealership. We're 150 strong in the dealership. If you get people thinking and like-minded all the same way, and you have those leaders throughout the dealership, just not in one place, but everywhere, and picking up, and I like the way my analogy is always with the footy side, from a defensive pattern. If you need to trust your player inside and out you. And if you've got someone running at your right shoulder, you need to make sure that person that's outside you is coming into the tackle as well. You know what I mean? And if you're not trusting the guy beside you on the outside, and you're not trusting the guy on the inside, that you got a problem. You got a problem. So you need to be standing that defensive line, and I need to make sure that I'm comfortable with it, that everyone on my staff are comfortable standing that defensive line, knowing they trust the person on either side of them. And when they do, it's a pretty powerful feeling. When they do, and there's no weakness there. And then that's straight away, like I said earlier, is that those ones that aren't living for it and pride in that jersey and pride in their position and self-respect, they stand out. They stand out, and I think that's a cultural thing that just kind of weeds out the rubbish, doesn't it? I probably shouldn't say the rubbish. It weeds out the people that don't fit to that mould. Fit to that mould. And again, my expectations are through the roof. So there's only some certain breed of people that are actually going to work in that environment too. There's some that are going to say, no, I'm a plotter. I'm a plotter, and I don't want to work in that environment. You know what I mean? It's probably too tough for me.
And you find someone could be a great salesman, but just because of maybe, I guess, you may just not fit the mold of what you're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got a lot of those people that are fantastic at their role, but they can't do more than that. That's it. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that from a sales team, we look at it all the time. You got 15 odd salespeople. You can't have 15 of the same. You need them all to be different.
Definitely.
You need them all to be different, and there's different attributes to people that will resonate with people. But what you do need is a strong set of disciplines or rules. And that's your game plan.
Definitely.
And that's your game plan. So if you've got the game plan, you can have 15 styles of play, but they're all going to fit under that one game plan. So we've got 15 different personalities, but we've got the one game plan and another result. So it makes it easier when the game plan is very, very solid.
You like the coach before the game.
Absolutely.
Got the whiteboard out. You're here, you're fullback, you're halfback.
Well, you walk through the team, you walk through the dealership today. Everyone knows the goal. Everyone knows the game plan. Everyone knows the game plan. It doesn't matter what department they know the game plan. We've got a little booklet that everyone has, which is our Aspley Mazda gold standards. We've got gold standards on there that people live by and understand. And we've got a bit of a vision of what we are, and we've got keywords that we use throughout the year. So people know the game plan, so they know what they're working towards.
Yeah.
They're not just turning up, clocking in and clocking out.
Yeah.
They're coming here for a purpose. They're coming here for a reason. So
here for a paycheck.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Hence why I spend so much money in the aesthetics of the place. I've got some murals getting done, more murals getting done at the moment.
Even the van looks cool.
Yeah,
the way the van's set up.
Exceptional. The wall down the back here, I'm getting a wall done at the other end of the service department. Could you see it from the road? It says who we are, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
We're cars community culture. We sell cars, but it's community driven. We're about the community. I want to be known in the community.
Yeah.
And culture. That's what we live by.
Yeah.
We live by it. It's that's what creates it. We're more than just. I don't want to be just known as salespeople or service advisors. We're people. People buy from people.
Yeah.
And the community need to know that. And that culture is driven from that, is that we're good at customer expectation. We're good at creating a great environment. We're problem solvers.
Yeah.
That we want to build relationships, just not do deals. We're not transactional. Everything's an experience, not a transaction. So.
That's so true, because even you think about anything in life, we don't really remember the things that we talk about, and things like maybe sometimes we do when something really sticks. But the thing we remember the most is the memories. If someone comes in the end has a really good experience with getting the car, that's the thing they're going to remember. Then that creates a word of mouth referral process for your car dealership.
Correct. And that's what I have. So people are buying from me, not necessarily by one of Mazda 3 or a CX-3 or BT50, but they've been referred to come to me, or they've seen it, and it's the word of mouth. You got to go and see Luke. You got to go and see Luke. So all of a sudden these people are reaching out to me, and they're coming to me going, okay, well, Luke, what do you have? Yeah. I'm currently driving a Toyota, I'm in a Ford or whatever it might be, but I want to buy from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what it's about. You want to create that. You want to create it. People are buying from people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you want it to be an experience. So when people do go away from that and they come in and they do it and they go, oh, wow, now I know why I got referred to come buy from you.
Yeah.
And then they start referring their people. So that's where your network grows, and network and just has grown and grown. And for us, over the last probably 4 or 5 years, our network has really, really expanded, and that's based on the reputation of who we are and about the people in the community, as opposed to being a transactional business that just tries to sell cars.
Yeah.
Because we're far more than that.
Especially if you think about Brisbane as well. I think the population is just over 1 million people. So that's a lot of people that you can get word of mouth to and create community. And, because I think the word of mouth thing, people think it's old school. I feel like it holds such strong backbone in how you get people in the door.
I think it is the backbone.
Anything,
it is the backbone. Word of mouth is more important than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Social media. Social media helps with, I guess, visual.
Yep.
But then the connection through word of mouth, that's what people truly trust.
Well, the social media is the driver, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the driver. But then the next stop, you come in here today, and you've come in and looked at a BT50. Yeah. Now, you're going to go home, you're going to talk to your wife, you're going to talk to your mates, you might be at the gym, you might be at soccer going, oh, I went down to Mazda at Aspley and I looked at this BT50 and I really liked it. You're going to have someone in that network that knows someone. Yeah. One of those people go, no, my mate's uncle is a car dealer. He's a car dealer. Why don't we contact him? You know what I mean? And that's how it happens. 100%. So I don't know how many people might go to Gold Coast Mazda and, on the Gold Coast, look at a Mazda dealership, look at a BT50, whatever it is, and then go and tell them their circle of friends. Yeah. And then there's someone there going, oh, no. And then there's that Luke Camilleri guy from Mazda Aspley. Him and Alex Glenn are mates. And, and Alex I'll get you the contact. And all of a sudden, you've got these people that are coming and buying cars. Because people are buying from people. Yeah. They're still buying the same product, aren't they?
Yeah,
but people are buying from people, So I think the word of mouth that holds so much power. And that's one thing that one of my gold standards is remember where you come from. And that's one thing. Reputation is key. And word of mouth is probably the most important. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you want that reputation to be spot on all the time.
Yeah. Especially if you want to stand out as well, because especially in this line of business, there's so many. I'm north side of Brisbane, and within 5 minutes of my house, there's probably 6 car dealerships there.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. And find the way to stand out in such a, I guess, what seems like a crowded market can be challenging for some, but I guess if you do have the right values, the right mindset, and you constantly want to grow and look after the people, it becomes a lot more simpler than I guess a lot of people are trying to overcomplicate.
It does, and that's what I look for. I want people to think cars, and I want them to think Mazda, I want them to think Mazda, I want them to think me. And I want to be a destination. Yeah. So I want people to drive past 7 or 8 car dealerships to get to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when they get here, they're going to be wowed and they're going to go, that's why we drove 40 minutes. Yeah. And when their wife's saying, no, why don't we just go to this local one? Why have we got to drive an hour to go to Aspley? And then when they get there, the wife goes, I can see why we drove an hour, and I would have driven 3 hours to get there because that was the best experience I've ever had. Yeah. And they become friends. It becomes a relationship, Yeah. And then 20 years later, we're still dealing with the same people, and then they're bragging about they bought 8 or 9 cars. This is their 10th car. Yeah. And then their kids are growing up, and they're on their old place, and they're getting a car, and that's the way it works.
I've got a great example as well before we get into the community Q&A. My wife, she loves RAV4s, Toyotas. But then like once I started following you, and then she was like seeing your profile as well and seeing Aspley Mazda. She was like, CX-80s are really nice. I think I want one of those
There
instead.
it is.
Now we're like, oh, maybe we try and get one of those in the future. And
Yeah. That's the way it works, mate. Yeah,
it does.
Yep.
But I want to get into our community Q&A because we had a few questions come through.
Absolutely.
Our first one is from Craig Rides, and he said, what does the word community mean to you and your team?
Oh, it's everything. The word community is everything. A team, that's our backbone. So that's part of our catch cry, Cars Community Culture. Community is absolutely everything for us. Absolutely everything. You got to put in, you get it out, you know. We call it a prime marketing area or a catchment area. And I want to be that well known through here and our reputation be that well known that I want to be involved, so I want to give back.
Yeah.
You know, so to us, we sponsor, I don't know how many footy teams, how many soccer clubs, bowls clubs, schools, fates. You know, we're in every activity. We've got activations going on, all these things, but we don't just sponsor and give money. We're involved. We want to be involved, and we're involved in every one of them. You know, this afternoon we're doing a jersey presentation to Grange Thistle Soccer Club. You know, they're all getting their jerseys this afternoon, but we're the major sponsors, so I'm handing them over. You know, I'm going to have a little speech for them, and that's important to us. So it means everything. I love it. Yeah. I love it, and I want to be the face of it. I want to be involved in it. You know, because when you're out, and I've grown up in this area for a long time. Yeah. You're going to get recognised, but you want to be recognised with a good reputation. But you want to be recognised that, hang on, they're good people in what they do.
Yeah.
They don't go there and sell cars and service cars. They give a lot back.
Yeah.
And if you have a look around, we're on every billboard there can be. Yeah. You know, you're on the back of buses. You got signs here, there, and everywhere else. But you know, and that's a part of our marketing plan too. You know, like when people see it, they think, oh, there's Aspley Mazda, and then they're at the movies and they're about to watch the movie, and then there's an Aspley Mazda ad.
Yeah.
You know, then they're teeing off at one team of golf club on the 10th, and all of a sudden there's this Aspley Mazda, you know, and then they're having a beer afterwards on the coaster. There's Aspley Mazda. Go, oh, hang on, we should go and see them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So community to us is everything. Everything. It's our backbone, you know, and we're thankful for it, and that's why we give so much back.
Yeah, that and also social media as well, because like I've had quite a fair few boxers come on the podcast. And even like some other boxers and their Instagram stories, like Connor Walls, like Jay Opatai, like and all that. Money Max, I know he's a new one as well. I just seen their BT50 Fridays and things like all the time on social media as well. And it's like, it's really cool to like see it keep popping up.
It's a movement, isn't it? You know, so it's important to us.
Awesome.
Good question.
Our next question is from Trav the Technician, and he said, "What's your next massive goal if you open the show?"
Good one, Trav. I've got a lot of goals. I've got a lot of goals that I want to tick off, little ones, but probably my biggest one is to keep growing this empire, and look for more opportunity. So I probably want to refine a little bit more that I've got 150 staff that are all like-minded, not 135 or 140. I want 150, and that we're beating the drum all in a really positive way. So a goal probably is to refine things a little bit around having the best team and having the best, you know, like I always say, we've got to pick the best 17, you know, so I want to pick the best 150 odd, and I want to make sure of it, and I need to, so that's a goal where I've always been not loose on it, but I'm very generous, and I like to give people an opportunity, but there's probably people that are blocking opportunity for others, you know, so a goal for me this year was to probably be a little bit more refined in making sure that I've got the right team. But for growth, it's definitely growth, and if it's opportunity. So if there's an opportunity for me to grow and expand, I'm taking it on. So I've definitely made that loud and clear.
Love that.
That, you know, if there's an opportunity there, I will grow. You know, the brand, we rebranded a little bit through our used car department at the end of last year to LDC Automotive. So it's a sub branch to Aspley Mazda. You know, so I'd like to see a lot of LDC Automotive used car super centres around Brisbane. You know what I mean? So if they come up, you know, but growth is probably the biggest thing. So from a professional point of view,
love that, man. Especially like the 17, 150 people. You can start your own like 9-team footy league. All your staff members.
Yeah, couldn't you?
Our next question is, what legacy do you want to leave behind from John T?
The legacy, like I spoke about earlier, I want to be the game changer in the automotive industry. I want people to go back and Luke Camilleri, that guy from Aspley Mazda, changed the way automotive was. Automotive used to be about sleazy car salespeople and dishonesty, throwing the keys on the roof, highballing people on trade-ins, lack of trust, dishonest. I want to break that legacy. I want to change that way of thinking. The legacy I want to create is something like where they go, wow, he totally turned that automotive from being pretty boring, where it was just the same as everyone else to being totally different. His marketing was out of control. You know, they were so different. They were ahead of the market. They tried different things. Their people were all community-based, and there was a culture there that was infectious where people wanted to be amongst. And the deliverables of what we do back to the community and be that it's a to and fro where we actually want to be involved in people's growth and success, like I am with my ambassadors, you know. Like you look at someone like Connor Wallace, for example. I want Connor to be that invested in what I'm doing. Yeah. But he would expect the same thing from me.
100, yeah.
You know, when he's fighting, I feel like I'm fighting with him. You know what I mean? Because I want to carry that. That's the relationship where we want to be, you know. So I want to create, I want people to go back, you know, and I still want to be around for a long time. But I want people to go, I remember that guy. I remember Luke Camilleri. He changed automotive. And I want that to happen now. Yeah. You know, I want people to start talking about that. And I get it now. I get people
it's
going,
already happening.
Yeah.
Sure.
What you've done in the automotive industry has been insane. What you've done and the way you've changed and the way you change about the way people think, you know, and what you've done from a community point of view, what you've done from a marketing point of view, what you've done from an aesthetics point of view, you know. So I don't reckon you'd see too many courtesy buses getting around with the signer on it. I've got around it, you know, to brand who we are, you know, and the same as that you've got that throughout the dealership. So, yeah, that to me is I want to be the game changer in the automotive industry. That guy that came and made some waves and changed things around for the better, for the greater good, and really gave a great reputation to the automotive land.
I love that, man. Especially like just to touch on that, even instead of just having like a coffee pop machine, like actually having the cafe.
Yeah.
If like it adds that extra layer of like you walk in, it feels like I guess a bit like home.
Yep.
Like you can just feel relaxed because you sit down, have a coffee.
That's what
sit
we
in
want.
your chairs, kick back, and it's not like
Great culture,
you know what I mean?
Great community. You want it to be a real experience.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're coming here, you don't feel uptight and everything else, and you're pushing the button of the Nescafe machine, not knowing if you're getting a cappuccino or a hot chocolate, you know, you're getting a barista-made coffee, and I want you to feel comfortable. You know, I want you to come back, and then once you bought your car, I want you to come back again. I want you to come and get your coffee here every day. But I want to become, you know, I want to have a relationship with you. You know, I want you to become a mate. I want you to be able to text me and say to me, hey, Luke, you know, I'm getting my service done. Are you available for a coffee?
Yeah.
That's what we're about, you know, and that's awesome. Different. That's different, you know, and I want everyone to be thinking the same way. And we're on the journey, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Our next question is, I think we touched on it a little bit, but is what do you love most about what you do?
What I love the most is just every day is different. Every day is different. You know, it doesn't matter. I can have my to-do list ready. I can be that tidy the night before. I can come into work knowing that I've got my whole day planned out, and never does it go the same. Never does it go, and it's always different. The people I'm meeting, the thrill of, you know, making things happen, watching people grow is really exciting. But I still love getting up and coming to work every day. I still love it. You know, I still love it. You know, like I love being at home, don't get me wrong, and I love my family. I love being around that. But, and, you know, there's times there where I'm driving out going, oh, what a day it could be, you know, with the kids and the pool and mowing the lawn and doing all that family sort of stuff. But, you know, you're always going to think like that because you love what you do. But when I'm driving out that driveway, you know, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm dreading getting to work. Yeah. I've got the music pumping, I'm tapping away at the steering wheel, I'm getting out of the car and and I'm ready to say hello to people, and I'm getting waves as I'm coming in and all the rest of it, and I love it. Yeah. You know, I love it. It's about the opportunity, you know, and it's about testing yourself, you know. Like I don't expect every day to be great. I don't expect every day to go home and everything be perfect. But that's the challenge. That's what keeps you active,
makes it fun.
It is. That's what keeps you, you know, like up here, smart, sharp. You know, dealing with those differences. And, you know, I look at the people that I've met along the time. I look at the legacy I've created, the opportunities I've given to people. They're all memories that I'll get to keep that make me really, really happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And watching some of these people grow and turn into what they are today, that's inspiration in itself, you know. So that's the biggest thing for me, is the biggest driver every day is, hang on, I want to make a difference. Yeah. You know, so, every day is different. So the most exciting, there's just opportunity. Yeah. Every day I walk in here or drive in here, it's opportunity. Yeah. It's opportunity.
There's something special about seeing potential in someone and guiding them or helping them along their journey of reaching it as well.
I've got a heap of them. Yeah. You know, I've got plenty of stories I could tell about that. You know, there's probably 50 of them. Yeah. You know, and, you know, and just seeing that how loyal some of these people are and the staff, they're, you know, they're good people. They're just good people. And I think that that's the biggest thing, that we only want good people, you know. So, you know, when I drive to work every day, I look forward to seeing these people. Yeah. You know, I look forward to making a difference. I look forward to the opportunity. I look forward to exciting. Something's happening. Something's changing, you know. Yeah. Some days you're in a bit of a rut, but then that's when you get, you know, these 4 or 5 different hurdles as you're getting out of the car. But then at the end of the day, you go, oh, how was your day? Oh, it was actually really good. It was really productive. I got through quite a bit today, you know. So, yeah. That's
awesome, man. Our last question, it's one for me that I ask every guest.
Yep.
But how do you define success?
Oh, I'm always a big believer in actions speak louder than words. And success to me is when people are talking about what you've done, what you've created, and what you've left behind. And that comes down to that legacy thing. So to me, it's actions. It's what I have. It's what I've done. It's the score. It's on the scoreboard. It's the personal bests, the records. It's the growth of people. It's the development of people. It's watching people turn their life from average to good, from good to great. I think that's success when you know that you've really changed people's lives, and you've changed the way people think. You've changed people's mindset, and you've created some things that you didn't think possible yourself. Yeah. And there's no way in the world that I would have looked back at this 20 years ago and thought I'd be in the position I am today. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's me included. So I think that's success. But being humble, knowing remembering where you come from, remembering your values of how you got to where you are, and just appreciate all the little things. And if you appreciate all the little things, the big things will come. Yeah. And to me, that's the biggest thing is I appreciate all those little things. So you're never going to get to step 10 if you don't do step 1 through properly.
Yeah, it's got to start somewhere.
It's got to, and all those little things are the ones that are the most important, and they come down to being good, just a good person. Hello, goodbye, how are you? Those little things, they're the most important things to me. You know what I mean? So. And I think if you've left that legacy behind, and if you said, what's Luke like, or what sort of boss is Luke, or your reputation you've got, that says it in itself, And when people are saying, oh no, he's this, he's that, he's that, he's that, he's that, I think that's a success story in itself. You know what I mean? So,
love that. And quickly before we finish, I want to touch on a little bit what you said there. Like a lot of people think you have to be amazing to start. But you have to start so you can become amazing.
Yep.
So you have to start first. The amazing comes eventually.
Yep.
Once you learn all the skills and
Absolutely.
all the things that come. But I think a lot of people procrastinate when it comes to stepping into achieving their dreams because they think you have to be a certain baseline to start with. Like when I started this podcast, I did it in Brisbane Library amongst 200 people in the background talking on microphone and about half a meter away from me. I'm talking into it. So like all my first episodes are still up on Spotify and stuff, but you listen to them, it's horrible audio. Like you can barely hear me speak and you hear chatter in the background.
Yeah.
But I had to start somewhere, and if I didn't start there, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah,
and
correct.
it's like, with yourself, if you didn't push through and start where you started and didn't stick through for this long, you wouldn't be here today.
That's right. That's right. And we have complete control of what we do.
Yeah.
Complete control of what we do. And I watch it every day with decisions we make. And those decisions to make is an easy option and there's a tough option. Yeah. The easy option is just to take the easy road. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that do that. A lot of people will take that easy option every day. Or there's the harder one, which is a little bit more difficult, but it's not harder in the end.
No, it makes life easier eventually.
It makes it a lot easier. And we spoke about that before, you know what I mean? And it's just that's a mindset thing. Yeah. That's really a mindset thing. But it was funny, we have our gold standards that we talk about every morning, and usually one of my leadership group will go through what the gold standard is, and we put it in a WhatsApp group chat, and we have a little quote that goes with it. And one this morning, Big Gav, he's our general sales manager, and he did his quote and his gold standard this morning, and I'm reading it, and good morning team, today's gold standard is number 6, remember where you came from. And then he did his quote, and I had to read it about 3 times. Then I screenshot it, and I'm like, holy, and it made the hair stand up on my neck. And I'm thinking, wow, if this is just said differently, but it's so powerful, and it's what we talk about. When you are tempted to throw in the towel, to give it all up, remember why you started. You cannot go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending.
You can write the story.
And I read that a couple of times over, and I'm like, so many people kind of go, I'm not having a really good month. Yeah. I'm struggling a little bit for sales, I haven't had the best month, and just kind of write himself off. Yeah. Or do you go, well, hang on a second. I'll build a bit of a platform. It's probably not where I want to be, but I've got full control of what happens from here. Definitely. Full control, Or there's the other option in their mind of going, is this even for me? Am I in the wrong place? Should I be doing something different? Yeah. You know what I mean? There's the negative demons right there, Definitely. Isn't there?
Trying to talk you out your greatness.
Correct. As apart from going, no, I've got full control of this. And then that comes back down to everything we spoke about. How you wake up in the morning, your mindset, your training, your disciplines, your consistency, all those things. They're all part of that, aren't they? They're part of that overall. Definitely. So, I got some big inspiration out of that. And, I was reading some of the commentary back from some of the other leaders around it going, oh, wow. It just kind of stood true, just said a little bit differently what we say every other day, but it meant a lot,
Even that just gets you revved up for the day.
Well, it does, doesn't it? Well, it got me revved up. Here I am, I read it 3 times, then I screenshot it. Yeah. And then I'm driving in the car this morning, and I've got Steen Jones, the artist here at the moment, doing a mural for me, and I've got in our staff exit door, There's a saying that I always go by: count up all your blessings, big or small, they're still all blessings. And I'm getting that mural put on the wall and some of his graffiti around it and so on, just so every time we walk out at night time, we're counting up our blessings for the day that we've just had and the opportunity we've been given. But then I was, after I read that this morning, I'm thinking, I wonder if there's another spot in the dealership where I could put that. Or do I laminate that and hand it out to the 150 people, you know? And I thought about that. We've got our staff barbecue this Friday. We do it monthly, you know, and we talk about our player of the month and have a staff barbecue. I'll cook pizzas and a barbecue and all the rest of it on Friday, and everyone will get together. And I'm thinking maybe I'll get that and hand that out to everyone and just say, look, this is probably something that really resonated with me. Just keep it in your pocket for a bit, or put it in your toolbox, or put it at your desk, put it on your phone, whatever it might be. And just think about that, because that's it motivated me, and I'm a pretty motivated guy. You know what I mean? So
or even like with every car you sell, put like an envelope and give it to someone, you know, and they can take that home, and maybe that could create a shift in their life.
Yeah, it could be. That's all it takes. You know what I mean? So
And one thing I find, like when that negative self-talk comes in when you're on the mission or on the pursuit of something great, I find that when we start to reach our potential, we subconsciously start implementing self-sabotaging behaviors, because our brain doesn't like to be out of comfort zone. Like it has to be very forceful to be able to get in the uncomfort zone and stay there and swim. So one thing I find now, if I ever have a moment where I'm like, maybe I should give up, or maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I should try something else, I'm like, no, my potential and greatness is around the corner now, because my potential is about to be fulfilled. My subconscious mind is trying to convince me otherwise.
100%. So good. So good. You're bang on there.
Well, Luke, I just want to say, man, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Ryan. It's been great.
Absolute pleasure having you on. Even just coming here today, like for the listeners as well, like it's an amazing place. If you're looking for a car, highly recommend it. If you just want to come for a coffee, come for a coffee. The coffee was great as well. It was delicious.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, Luke, thanks, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thank you.